Good evening, everyone. So today we have people, those who have finished their exam as well as those who have August exam and Feb exam. So that's great. So we'll start. If you're not received a book or it is in transit, so don't worry, relax. So you will get personalized answer. So this book, everyone has it, right? Either you are in child course fellowship or psych sex. Psych sex means psychology counseling, 6 months, correct? So what this book covers is almost all conditions, OCD, emotional, different traumas, emotional conditions, generalized anxiety disorders, then different anxieties, stress, bipolar disorders, and some other scenarios, okay, which are more common. Some are rare scenarios are also there, like a personality disorder, then eating disorders and schizophrenia. So you can give less focus on that. More focus you should give on common conditions. And for every chapter, how it is divided, it flows like what are the symptoms, then how you diagnose or what are the things you identify a client, someone going through that, how conversation between client and counselor goes on for every condition, right? Then what should you tell the client before the your session ends, before your counseling ends, so that the client will come back to you. And next is what are the common questions client will ask you and what are the good answers you should give. And at the end of every chapter, there are around 20 to 50 tips from a counselor perspective, what you should give to the client. So this is the most practical, useful book which is not there in the market, right? Written by a lot of research, and you will love it. To start this book, start with page 1. Don't go random. I know you are tempted to read the stories and tell the stories to your child and your husband or yourself, and you are getting engaged with that. That's good. But if you start start with page 1, so letter to the student, so that makes a connection with you, the book, and me, right? Then you will start feeling that I'm talking through the book to you. It feels like conversation from the author to the reader. So that makes a faster connection, and you get addicted, hooked to the book. So you will be able to read it fast. This book looks big. Don't worry. Read it like a novel. Don't read it like a subject, or don't want to become a nuclear scientist. You don't want to become a psychiatrist or a doctor by reading this book, right? So just read it for fun. First reading should be very fast, rapid. No underline, no tick mark, no notes, nothing. Why? Because if you break your flow of reading by doing any of this, then your speed decreases, and it will take you 1 year, 2 years, or 6 months to finish one book, right? Decide one chapter one day. Before you sleep, just read one chapter every day. Skip the medicines, skip side effects. No need to read that. Do not try to memorize, do not try to understand, nothing. Just read it, so that first reading you get acquainted with the terminologies. You get comfortable, and you may have some questions. Don't worry, don't ask your mind also, right? Those questions will be answered automatically when you go on reading the other chapters or some part of the same chapter. So read it very fast, first reading. In 1 month you should finish this book. Then if you have child course, then you will go on child book, and in 15 days similarly fast reading you will do the child book. In child book you can select the random chapters. Like in this book you have to start with page 1. In child book you can start with any random chapter, and then again come back to this book. Then this is the second time you can decide to go slow, right? And the slow does not mean one chapter 1 month. The slow means one chapter maybe 4 hours, 5 hours. That's it. Okay. So that 4 hours, 5 hours, how you divide, it depends on your work profile and all those things. Now, 2, 3 questions I will ask. How many of you feel that this book feels like a conversation from the author to you? It feels like I'm talking to you when you read that, right? Write in the chat. So if you have felt that, it looks like a conversation from the author to the reader. How many of you feel that the writing style is very engaging? So when you read this book, start reading this book, especially from page 1, You get hooked to it, you get addicted to it, right? And every time you read it, you feel good. It releases endorphins, it releases dopamine, and you get addicted, right? So if you are doing that, it means you have found your passion, right? You have found your calling, right? Abdul Kalam became aeronautical engineer. You know what story he has given? He came from a village where there was no electricity, where there was no telephone line or not a single electric line for the complete village. Okay, but he said that once one of his teacher in school, less than 8th standard, he taught him the poem about aeroplane, and the way he represented him, the way he explained to the class, the teacher, that created his interest that he want to make aeroplanes. Probably he want to fly aeroplanes. Okay, then he became one of the world famous rocket scientist, not only the plane scientist, right? So that's the power of generating the interest, and that interest comes from the book, okay, or the mentor. So in the market there are many psychology books as well as counseling books. They talk about theory, molecules. There was one scientist 2000 years back and he discovered this molecule, and there is a brain, and that thing, something chemical locha happens. No one cares for that, right? Even if you're a doctor, like 30% batch, we have a doctor, we have doctors, and 30% are from MSc background and 30% are aliens. So these aliens are mixed, including HR people from corporate or NGO owners or school owners. So all of them will find this book very useful and very practical. Okay. So only word of caution is don't start diagnosing yourself. When you read depression, anxiety, OCD, schizophrenia, okay. When you start reading schizophrenia, you will think, oh my God, you have that symptoms. Okay. If you are doing that, not good. Don't avoid that. Okay. And if this book has ignited your passion, ignited your interest, then it means that psychology is your calling, right? Then advance your career in that. Either take up marriage counseling, fellowship, or some other program with us, and learn higher things and get fill your education gap, right? Thank you. So by this time, you might have noticed the front cover book. The painting is that back painting. Yeah. Okay. So which are the chapter you should read? Okay. So we focus on that. There are tips given that before you end the session, how do you, what should you talk to the client so that the client comes next time to you, right? That is very important, right? There are counselors who just counsel people and then client goes away and does not come back. That's what you should not have. You should have the client coming to you every time because the client likes you. Okay, so start with letter to the student, then create your profile. So there is a page number 6. So create your profile. Okay, read the disclaimer and copyright. There is a fun filled statements and that as well. You can earn money also. A few lakhs actually. So create your profile, write it today. Don't wait for some auspicious occasion. Whatever you are today, write it. Whatever you think you want to be, write it. If you write, it creates some neuronal connections in your brain that helps you achieve that dream. Okay. So it doesn't make you daydreamer. It makes you realistic dreamer, that you have the dream which is implanted in your brain, which has a neuronal strong connection, and you're going to achieve it. That's why it is very important to write your dream. Okay. Letter to the author, whenever you get inspiration, write it. Send a WhatsApp to me. Letter to the mentor, for most of you, I am your mentor. For others, Akanksha is mentor or Dini is mentor, right? So you can write to them the letters, okay? But make sure that you send a copy of the letter on WhatsApp to me as well, right? Write in your own handwriting, so that gives a personal touch and feeling. So don't wait for the course to end. So you have to build your connection, the relationship, a friendship, a bond with your mentor, right? So do it as early possible. There are some very nice people, those who have shared their video feedbacks. So they are like, they will be remembered. They will call me after 15 years. I will be like, hey, Rashmi, tell me what do you want? Okay. She will say, sir, I want this new book of you. I said, okay, done. Like, or she will like, okay, sir, there is some complication in medical legal. How do you solve it? I will tell. Right. So that's how relation you should develop. So start with the stories and all. And first, the first important word about this is that it's not a psychological disorder; it's a emotional disturbance, right? So whenever you get the client, that is the number one thing you should have in your mind. And again, for the especially childhood mental disorders, so all the books and all, so it should be childhood emotional disorders, right? Because you cannot just uh, outcast the child or a person because of that. So start with generalized anxiety disorder because there are two most common psychological conditions or emotional disturbance conditions in the world. Number one is stress and number two is anxiety. Okay. If you had a turbulent life or if you had multiple emotional traumas, including you lost your job, decided to switch job multiple times, you routinely fight with your husband, your mother, your child, your employer, your employee, then probably you have anxiety disorder. Okay. So every time you decide that you want to go somewhere out, okay, and on suddenly just before you everyone walks out, you cancel the plan, right? When you go for a social gathering and when you come back, while on your way back, you evaluate yourself. Oh my God, what did I say wrong? Did they like me? What are they thinking about me? Right? So you are a person who has a generalized anxiety disorder. So there are tips, around 30, 50 tips given in generalized anxiety disorder. What should you do? Read that chapter. That is for you. Okay. So while reading some new chapters, don't create a disease on yourself in your brain. Okay. So you may find that some symptoms are overlapping with you and the book, right? That is called third year syndrome in MBBS. So don't diagnose yourself. And when you read schizophrenia, absolutely do not diagnose your spouse if you're going through marital discord, or do not diagnose yourself if you have a good marriage. Because either way, the marriage will break if you diagnose schizophrenia for your spouse or yourself. Okay. So don't do that. And so in MBBS also, whenever we used to read like, oh my God, yeah, I see this in him, I see this in that girl, I see this in me. Oh my God. So this is typical thing in psychology. And the chapters in every condition, some symptoms are going to be repeated. Don't worry. Okay. No need to remember all those things. First reading, you read it to get acquainted. Right. Okay. So then, so typically I will tell you which are the chapters you should start. But you should, okay, this is a list. There is page number 11 onwards. Adult emotional disorder, childhood emotional disorders. This is just for your uh, sake. The list is there. You don't need to remember the list. And in exam questions are not like that. That theoretical questions of your 10th standard or something. It's not like that. Okay. Start with the symptoms of psychological conditions from page 16. Then go to generalized anxiety disorder, page 19. And then read that complete chapter. Skip the medicine part and skip the treatment part if you are not a doctor. Okay. It's not required. Not a single question will be asked. And you will not need in your practice as well. Read the additional tips because there are multiple tips given related to what should you do, including meditation, healthy lifestyle, exercise, journaling, talking to people, meeting friends, and eating proper food, and all those things. So it's not the page now, it's a chapter now, Dr. Farzana, page 19 onwards. So generalized anxiety disorder, the whole chapter. Okay. Now you might be thinking there is an interesting question. How many of, okay, don't write it, everyone will say yes. So there is no index in this book. Okay, some smart people, they will find out where the index is. Index is hidden. It is there. Okay. Yes, Dr. Lily, very good. I like you. So, but it is desperately hidden so that if you want to find something, if you want a chapter you like, you have to flip through the book. And psychologically, when you flip through the book, you are able to find other things also which might excite you. And you are able to read the book faster. Right? Otherwise, there are some smart people, they want to read some bedtime story to their child, and from the index, they will go and find every story page, right? So the objective is for you to flip through all the page, Mamta, cheating, okay, right? So the index is not given here, or it is hidden. It is there in the book, but it is hidden. Okay, so you will find it if you read the book. Right. So after generalized anxiety disorder, Akshaya, what's up? So symptoms, what happens, and all those things, and some of the stories they are linked. Like some of the stories with ADHD, autism, and all those things they are linked. Okay. Then there is a chapter 655, page 55, anxiety. It starts with anxiety. Okay. Again, medicines part you will skip. Then there is a page number 67, counselor to client. This counselor to client topic is in every chapter, every condition. So how a counselor client conversation goes on, right? For every condition. Have you seen that? Have you read that? So that's kind of a real practical thing. When you read this, you will realize that a counselor is talking to the client, or you imagine yourself, you are become a successful counselor, and now you are talking to your client. Okay, interesting. So you imagine yourself. Then again, obviously, if I tell you do not read the stories, you will make sure to go through every page and find where the stories, and you're going to read the stories first. Yeah. So that's the psychology. The book has been designed by psychologists. Okay. So it has been designed in a way to make it more engaging and fun-filled. Yes. 79, page 79, ADSD. So that is very interesting. Like simple diagnosis we have here, like we are discussing that you should not, the page number is hidden, index page, and someone writes the page number, the diagnosis is very good. Self-diagnosis is the correct diagnosis. So that is a number one role of a psychologist to do the self-diagnosis, right? That was ironic. Don't do that. So ADSD. So how many of you watched that Talking Tom and Friends? There is a cartoon series. My daughter and I keep on watching. So there is a Ben. He becomes the doctor for one day from online medical school, and he says the number one role of a doctor is to confirm the confusion of the patient, or to confirm the fear of the patient. If the patient has a fear of certain disease, you should agree and confirm that, right? So similarly, the number one role of psychologist, according to Talking Tom and Friends, is to confirm own disease. Okay. If you are a cartoon animated series. So ADHD in adult, ADHD in child. What are the symptoms? What are the stages? How it reflects? Which age group? Then what are the? Yes, very good. That keeps you young. And yeah, not the ADHD. Okay, so Mamta must have noted that. Oh, ADHD keeps you young. No, I was talking to Shraddha. She said she watched cartoon. So watching cartoon keeps you young, not the ADHD. Okay. Okay, if you're watching Tom and Jerry till now or forcing your children to watch it, then it reflects which decade you were born in. So there was a decade where the Tom and Jerry was there 100 years back, and now that people or the generation has moved for Talking Tom, Angela, Silver Shimmer Shine, all those, and ponytails and all those things, unicorns and all. Huh. So very good. So ADHD in adult, ADHD in child, ADHD in adolescent, ADHD in teenage. You like it, right? So there is a dedicated section for uh, there. Okay. So when you start with page number, which was page 75 now. For ADHD starts with 75. Then it is divided. 89. Okay, 89 is ADHD in adult and child. Then teenager 102. Then how to diagnose ADHD In child 110, do not diagnose your child. If your child is mischievous, naughty, it's good. You are blessed with a hyperactive child, not necessarily attention deficit hyperactivity syndrome. If your child is addicted to your mobile, first ask yourself or ask your child, is mama also addicted beta? If the child says yes, then you should know what is the diagnosis and who is mistaken. Okay, so don't worry, Shika, once you get the book, you will realize it. So good. If you ask easy question, it means you have the courage. That's good. FAQs, 122 FAQs about childhood ADHD, right? So FAQ means frequently asked question. ADHD means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay. So if you think, I will give you comparison. Okay, very interesting. Okay, everyone pay attention. Stop looking at the book now. Okay, if you start camera, there is a good engagement. I can see you. I remember your face, name, and when I travel to your city, I will meet you there. Um, two child. Okay, two children. Sorry. Yeah, wrong diagnosis. Okay, so those who have attended my session around 6 months back, they know that why I call that. Okay, two children. One is both you are interviewing today. Okay, one child is like silent, calm, not moving in the chair. Okay, right, not moving, silent, calm. And the other child is moving in the chair. Okay, and continuously doing this thing or changing legs, changing hands, changing posture, and all those things. Right, and this is the second one is the boy. Okay, so boy is seems restless physically and the girl seems calm physically. Now you start interviewing both of them. Okay, how is your school? Do you like your school? And so, and do you have friends in school? Girl is saying that she's able to make friends because they cannot match up with her. How's your performance in school? Both of them good. Right. Now, what are your hobbies? Both have certain hobbies. Right. Are you able to make friends? And do you play with friends or do you play individually? Girl says she finds it difficult to make friends and she plays individually. The boy says he plays football, a team sport. Right. The boy has little less score in the this thing. Okay, boy plays more of video games. Okay, the girl typically plays the all those girls games. Okay, around both are around 10 years of age. Right, who do you think has ADHD? Initially, when you started the interview, the boy was restless physically. Tell me, yeah, why the girl has ADHD? Okay, so those who are diagnosing very fast, actually they have the ADHD. Okay, so wait. Okay, there is a good possibility that you are jumping to diagnose that someone has ADHD. So most likely you have the ADHD because you don't have patience. Okay, so there is a good possibility that both have their own personality traits. Okay, either upbringing, genetic, or their own lifestyle. Right. That doesn't mean that there are some people who like some individual games, individual work, individual things. There are some people, even if they have ADHD or autism, they may like team games, right? That is not a diagnostic thing. A low score, high score is not a diagnostic thing. IQ is not a diagnostic thing, right? Able, unable to make friends, not a diagnostic, right? Walking restless, changing games frequently. Come on, addicted to the mobile. They change games frequently. That is the generation now. So if you go with this diagnosis, every child is ADHD then, right? Don't jump for that. Number one, because there are very serious problems with that. When you label a child ADHD, autism, learning disability, that label stays for lifetime. And the child is traumatized every time. Child shifts school, goes to a next class, making friends, self-confidence, self-esteem, the teacher perspective of the child. Okay, special child, ADHD, gone case, hopeless. Autism, hopeless case. LD, hopeless case. There are teachers who have this perspective, right? You cannot go and change their perspective. They will treat your child as outcast. Other parents will start treating your child as outcast. You will start treating your child, this particular child, as outcast. Do you want to do that? Your child will start feeling outcast. Okay, right? So don't label a child. That is a crime to label a child with certain disease. Okay, and then there are some schools, just because someone is diagnosed, misdiagnosed actually. Okay, based on some counselor, you need to verify what is their degree, and based on certain 5 or 10 questions, they diagnose, they label the child, and then the school decides, okay, the child cannot study with us anymore. Right? Has the child committed some crime? Right? What if someone is born with certain disease, hereditary disease or genetic disease, a heart disease, rheumatic fever, right? Or some other disease, right? Vitiligo, albinism, hemophilia. If someone has this, do you outcast that person? No. Similarly, the emotional disturbance is there that need not be outcast, and the diagnosis should not be misplaced. Right? So, and never ever diagnose your own child. And someone is diagnosing, do not agree, right? Because the diagnosis will stay for lifetime. You will spend up years or probably decades traumatizing your child, moving from one counselor, consultant to other, jumping and trying to heal your child or bring another child back. Not going to happen. Whatever it is there. There are people who are OCD, they became billionaires. There are people who have ADHD, they became superstars, right? There are people who were labeled autism, dumb, learning disability, they got Nobel Prize, right? So the ball game is what? What is the ball game which you are playing for? Okay, the game you want to play, you can walk. You have always seen that someone is able to walk. So before the ADHD and autism, so there is something called fly to float. Okay, right? So autism 134. Okay, so read that story. Read that story. Okay, so a simple story. I have written that 134 page, that you can walk, you can run, because you can walk. That's why you're running. Okay, you have been trained for that. Your brain has been trained for that. You have seen the society do that. They can walk, right? But if you're gifted with a child who can float, the child who can float doesn't know how to walk. The child can float. So as your parents saw you walking, they trained you how to run. Similarly, as a parent, when you see your gifted child floating, don't teach him how to walk, downgrade. Teach him how to fly. Make him Superman. He can float. He's a Superman. She's a super girl. Right? Why do you want to put a rope and tie it down? How many of you agree this? And if you're a parent who has agreed to some misdiagnosis of some school teacher or a counselor or someone, anyone, right, that your child has ADHD, autism, LD, then that is a crime. Only person who can diagnose your child certain thing is developmental pediatrician or a psychiatrist. Right. So these are the two people who should be diagnosing. But this misdiagnosis completely destroys the life. Okay. Okay, this autism chapter starts with 134, the stories and all. The business starts tomorrow. There are some 1 or 2 stories which I have not completed to create the excitement to make you attend all the webinars. It can be covered in any webinar without disclosing. And there are some techniques like 352, 478. What is that technique? You want to know it? You want to know? You want to know? Yeah, just nod your head. Don't need to write. You want to know those techniques? Yeah, attend all the webinars. Okay. So attend all the webinars, you will learn all those techniques which are basic techniques which are there in the syllabus. There are other programs which include the higher techniques. Some of the techniques are mentioned here. Okay. Now, in some of the chapters, there is a testing, okay, the diagnostics or the testing, okay. And the disclaimer is written that it is for fun filled and not to be used for self-diagnosis or your child's diagnosis, okay. So don't do that mistake, right? And in the fellowship of 2023, that testing will be there, okay, how you test and all those things, okay. August will also get that, but probably after your exam, that book will be released. Because again, in the market, the testing book is so much theoretical. Oh my God, horrible book. So the statistics, there was one scientist 1,000 years back in the pyramid of the Egypt, and he developed the statistical tool to diagnose ADHD. Who cares? Come on, get up, right? Just give us a test now. Give us the 20 symptoms, how you do the diagnosis. We care for this, right? So, and then they talk all those things in 200 pages or 100 pages, 50 pages, but they miss out the test actually, right? So I'm in the process of writing a book on the test, which will come out after September or something. Okay. If you are from old batch, please do not send me WhatsApps or please send your book. I'm not going to send it. I already gifted you so many books. For August exam batch, some of them will get it. Okay. Even if it is after exam. Okay. Now, this 164 page, very interesting, very important. Okay. Come to 164 page. Mina, your exam is in Mina Beach, right? Your exam is in February, na? February fellowship. You will get in September. There are people who waited for 1 year for some books. There are some people who shifted their exam because they wanted the new book. Okay. So the psychology testing book will be only for fellowship students, not for everyone. Okay. And then there is one more book which is for gifted child management, the special needs, developmental milestones, and gifted child management. That syllabus, if you want to learn about the special child, how do you manage, what are the tools, what are the educational material or the tools you should give to the parents, your clients, and how do you diagnose, assessment, age-wise diagnosis, assessment. If you want to learn so much depth in special needs or developmental milestones or gifted child management, right? Eva, एक बार देखना कौन है डोर पे, Eva. So if you want to, that syllabus will be there in the special needs, developmental milestones, and gifted child management masterclass program. So the title is very good. It's a 6-month program, and in that, all the assessment tools and everything is there for special child. Okay. So if you want to learn or you have such child in your family or relative, or you are managing such cases, or you are a pediatrician, or you are a child counselor, you focus on this, or you are a teacher, right? Even if you're not a special education teacher, if you're a teacher, you go for that program, because when you apply, then it gives you higher chances for selection. Just go. Huh. Okay. So there are two exam windows. We have fixed exam windows. One is August exam and another is Feb exam. If you are enrolled for 6 months program, you will have one exam only. If you are enrolled for multiple courses together, you will have one exam for one course. Eva उसको टेबल पे रख, चीटियां हो जाएंगी वहां पे. So, and if you are for fellowship, there are two exams, August and Feb exam, or those who finish their first exam in Feb, they will have August exam, right? So for, we will learn about the exam in the month of July, right? We have a lot of time as of now focus on the knowledge part. For every exam you get, I will give just brief, very simple. You get 10 days window period. August month, tentative is 10 to 20 August, and February again 10 to 20 or 15 to 25 Feb. Okay. And this within those 10 days, you can appear exam anytime. You will get the exam link by email, and within those 10 days, anytime you open the link, your exam starts. Within 1 hour, you finish the exam. You can appear exam day or night, no need to inform anyone. Immediately you get the result by email. 60% is passing, and if someone fails, you can appear next session, Feb. So there is no extra charge for appearing the next time. Second attempt is allowed. Do not do second attempt in the same exam window. You will be disqualified permanently, and there is no refund. Okay. So there are some people who score less marks. They pass. They score 64, 66, 76. They want to upgrade their score. There is no opportunity to upgrade. Okay. If you do that, you are disqualified permanently. You are not allowed to appear in exam. Certificate will not be issued. Okay. So if you are not prepared, postpone your exam. Do not appear. So you ignore the link. Do not click on the link, because as soon as you click the link, that attempt is counted. You have attempted one. Okay. The certificate will not mention number of attempts. Okay. But don't spoil it, because you get only 2 attempts. Right. Second is the email, the result is displayed on your screen after submission. How much you score. To postpone the exam, you just do not appear the exam window. Right. And after the exam window is, during exam window, you can just WhatsApp me that, sir, I wish to appear in Feb. Okay. So, because my WhatsApp is, many people log into my WhatsApp, my office WhatsApp, and someone will take care of that part. Okay. The exam team will take care of that part. Yeah, that's a good question. So, Dr. Farzana, so exam is MCQ, very comfortable exam, right? If you read, if you are Psych 6 means psychology counseling 6 months. If you read this book 2 times without medicine, without side effects, you will score more than 90% marks. All the questions are from this book. Okay. Fellowship people will talk later. Keep quiet. Huh. And for child, you read the book 1 time, and this book and child book 2 times. Okay. So you will score 80-90% marks. If you want higher, then you read this also 2 times. And every batch, those who score highest marks, they get the outstanding student award. And it is feasible to get it. It's not necessary that you have to be a doctor or a PhD, then only you get it. Sometimes it has happened that even an alien has got outstanding student award because she has studied sincerely. Okay. The time is limited. The 1 hour is there. You can open the book. You can do anything. You can call your lifeline, phone a friend, 50-50, all those things you can play. But the time is limited. 60 minutes, 50 questions. And we will ensure that the system will waste your 10 minutes first. So 15 minutes, 50 question, 1 minute per question. The time is so less. So there are people who depend on the book, and I assure you they will fail. Only those people who read the book once, at least they will pass. If you read the book once, you will pass. Okay, 70% you will score. 60% is passing. Right? Okay. And if you do not get your exam link, most likely your exam is in February because you are for that batch. Okay. But in case if there is something, so okay, wow, thanks. So that was ADSD, got drifted, and Dr. Farzana brought me back. Thank you. Autism and friendship. 30 ways to be friend to a person on the spectrum. Okay. So these are the things you will tell to the mother, right? There are 31 things. This mother will go to the families in the apartment. She will talk to some of the parents in her child's class and talk to the parents and the children. She will have a get together. Okay, and in that, or birthday party, and in that birthday party she will tell every of the friend or every of the classmate, every apartment children about how to accommodate this child, right? So autism child will find it difficult to make friends, will fight, will behave erratic, may have certain tics. What is important? The child should not be bullied, the child should not be outcast, right? You want accommodation, you don't want self-esteem to be hurt. Okay, you don't want lower confidence. So that is why you tell this to your client, and she will have a get together with the children, and she will tell everyone that these are the things you should do. Okay. So as of now, just enjoy the flow, focus on the learnings. Exam is comfortable, don't worry. And August exam, a lot of time we have. July we will again meet one time for exam brief. Exam brief, previous exam brief video is already there on the channel. If you are subscribed to channel, just go and search it. If you're not subscribed, do not ask me recording. You have no right. Okay. If someone is subscribed, then automatically you will see everything. Okay. There are some people who do not subscribe to channel and they just ask, sir, can you please send me today's recording? I say no. Right. Go find it. Page 168, bipolar disorder. This is an interesting chapter, and 50% of you will find yourself to have this condition, and remaining 50% of you will find your spouse to have this condition. Page number 169. Now, what was that page number? So bipolar disorder 168. Yeah, and then there are symptoms, types and symptoms of bipolar disorder 176. Okay. Sarita, you are very bold. Wake up now. Life is like a cup of coffee. Okay. This the first story that shakes you actually when you read that first story in the book. That what does why coffee spills from the cup, right? So that really actually shakes your neurons. It shakes you, and then you start getting this thing. 186 secret of happiness is having no shirt. We will have this story in one of the sessions. Then 188 depression. Okay. So 90% of the public, those who read the chapter, they will find almost all the symptoms in themselves. Don't fall for that. You are a human being. You are going to have ups and downs. Okay. You will feel sometime you are dark, you are gray, you are white. Emotions I'm talking. Okay. It's okay because you are a human being. You live a human life. Right. It's a natural part. So allow it to process. Don't label yourself you are a depressed person. Don't allow anyone else to label yourself you are a bipolar or depressed person. Okay. Right. So it is a part of life. There are some people who are depressed, but they have find meaningful meaning in their own life, some purpose. So you should find two things. Okay, not done everyone. So what are the two things you need in life? One is purpose. Okay, right? Fine, it can the purpose can be very small, that you want to draw something, paint something, you want to help others. Okay, that can be purpose. The purpose can be to raise a good child. Purpose can be to sacrifice everything and to be a home mother. Right? Purpose can be to form an NGO. Purpose can be to rebuild your own life and start it. That's the biggest social service you're doing. Right? Or purpose can be to start your counseling practice, counseling job, and help a lot of people in the world, because that gives you satisfaction. And number two is you need one relationship that gives you resilience, happiness. That relationship can be with your child, ex, present, future, friend, mentor, student, or a colleague or a manager, right? Don't have that resilience relation with a counselor, right? So if someone is a client, so always you should take care that the resilience relation between the counselor and the client does not develop. Okay. For except that, all other resilience should have. So you should have purpose, and number two, you should have the reason one relationship which gives you happiness. Obviously, there are going to be some relations which gives you trouble, and you know what that relationship is. Yeah, right. Very good. So you know your problem, you know your life very well, right? Very good. Go with the flow. Very good. So there are so many depression symptoms, all those things and everything. Then there are symptoms of major depression. If you see that, do not take that client. It's a medical legal issue. Refer that client to a psychiatrist or a doctor or a hospital or a facility which has that to manage that client. Page number 214. Very interesting and important. Useful tips from counselor to client for managing minor depression. Right? So I mentioned very clearly minor depression. You will not manage the major depression because it has a medical legal complication chances, very high risks. Okay. There are some evaluative questions for depression. So these are the questions typically answers for this come from the history taking. So when you talk to the client, page number 217, sorry, page number 217, when you talk to the client gives you history. From that history, you get to know what are the this thing, what of this are present in the client. Okay, how many of this? 218. Okay, this is a very interesting and real life story. So it gives you happiness when you try to make someone happy. That can be by helping someone, by treating someone, by counseling someone, or by donating something, or by giving a job, or by doing a business which creates a job, right? Or by helping yourself. Okay, when you try to help others, don't forget yourself, don't forget your parents, don't forget your spouse. Children, obviously, you will do that. Okay. So you want to do charity and all the services outside, but you daily fight with your parents or the spouse and you don't talk to your parents, useless. 220, write it, write it today. Okay. 221, keep writing. Whenever you get some idea, you want to do something to help someone or to feel good. Why you want to help someone? Because you want to feel good. It releases your dopamine, it releases your serotonin, it releases endorphins. Okay. And that is the reason you want to do good to others. The act of kindness. So the act of kindness has to be with yourself also. Okay. So eating disorder. 222. Very less questions in exam, typically less clients. Okay, nowadays because of probably YouTube and all those things, probably you might get some teenager clients, but in my practice, these are less. I avoid those clients. Okay, refer them to psychiatrist. Okay, when you see by this eating disorder, personality disorder, schizophrenia, these three things you should politely send it to a psychiatrist in your city. Okay. So as a counselor, you should, what you can do is that help them cope up with anxiety, depression, some of the other things. Okay, by doing this, giving them the tips by doing certain basic techniques. Okay. Okay, so it's a big chapter about anxiety, bipolar disorder, binge eating, anorexia, all those things. Okay, bulimia, nervosa. Okay. Then interesting chapter is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, 248. Okay. So this is an interesting and important chapter, very necessary. And remember that if you find yourself having some symptoms, that you should start celebrating, because those people who have OCD, if you try to avoid dysfunction in the relationship, in your work, in your business, in your society, dysfunction aspect, then you can contribute much more. So there are people who have OCD, they turn out to be excellent entrepreneurs, writers, painters, artists, creative people, right? If you have OCD, then use it for good things. Then there is a chapter on pediatric OCD, 264. Again, good. Post-traumatic stress disorder, 268. Interesting chapter. You should read it. Two 281. This 281 story is very good. Yeah, OCD all chapter. This 281 story is very good, and it is probably about forgetting your own identity. Two 284, substance abuse and addiction. Okay, so beyond the scope, if you get such patients, you should refer to rehabilitation centers or the hospitals who have programs, 6 weeks, 16 weeks program to manage those clients. You can talk to because some people, they don't want to go for such programs, so they will come to you. Then you manage the basic component, but don't give the medicine. Okay, so there are medicines available for the addiction of alcohol, cigarette, all those things. So don't do that experiment. Schizophrenia and the room with 1000 mirrors, 299. So schizophrenia is like that only, room with 1000 mirrors. Okay. So if you have, out of 5 symptoms, if you have 3 symptoms or 2 symptoms, you will confirm your diagnosis that you have this. Okay. So don't do that. This chapter is very interesting. No question will be asked in the exam, no question. And you should not manage the client unless you are a psychiatrist. Okay. Schizophrenia. You should not touch this client even with the telescope also. Okay. The symptoms of schizophrenia, 306. These are simplified for non-clinicians. Okay. Those who are aliens, for all of you, these symptoms have been simplified. 314. This story is about hope. There are some people who have only one thing in their life, hope. Never take it away. 317, personality disorder and all those things. Okay. So you read it for fun. No question will be asked from substance abuse, schizophrenia or personality disorder. But these are the chapters which are interesting to read. You like when you read it. Okay. Chapter number 324 onwards, these are small chapters based on practical things, shyness, sleep wake disorders, then loneliness versus solitude versus depression, then some chapters on relationship and all those things. Okay, right? If you want to read more on the relationship or what are the tests. Okay, so there are more than 30 tests in our syllabus for marriage counseling book. Okay, so in addition to the theory plus practical aspect, there are tests. So these tests are to identify whether there is a respect, trust, love. How do you manage your anger? How do you manage your arguments? Do you stonewall your partner? And is there a compatibility? What is the likelihood of divorce? All those things, all those tests are there in marriage counseling syllabus, plus the couple activities, because every couple goes through some rough phase or boredom phase. Okay, so there are a couple activities to improve trust, to reduce boredom, to rekindle relationship, to rekindle passion, all those. There are more than 100 couple activities in marriage relationship. The course name is Masterclass Marriage Relationship Counseling and Family Therapy. Right? After doing this course, you can write your name, marriage relationship counselor and family therapist from NSCA Singapore certified. Okay. So that really helps you attract, because in counseling business, 50% of the clients are marriage. And that gives you success, because when a couple comes to you for marriage counseling, they have the intention to repair the relation. And when you are able to repair, that gives you confidence, that gives you blessing, good wishes, and that helps you make your spread name. That gives you recognition as well. Okay. So with your present program also, you can go for that. Then there are some small chapters like emotional type, all those small things. Just read it for fun. How to enjoy being alone. That is a very good chapter. Okay. And then there are some stories at the end. And then it ends with, again, the profile. Page 362, make sure that you create your profile by the time you reach half the book. Initially, you should create your first profile, then modify that first profile by the time you reach half the book or 3 months, or then write your profile again, because by that time you will have some understanding. Okay. For child book, you will read all complete book. All chapters are important. The complete book is important. And twice you will read the book. Questions will be asked from that only, majorly, and some questions will be asked from here for child exam. Again, MCQ pattern. We will get the sample and all in July. Okay. And if you are a teacher or a principal or a special educator, even if you are somewhere certified, or if you are a pediatrician or physiotherapist working in pediatric practice or occupational therapist, or a doctor who has some interest in that, go for masterclass, special needs, developmental milestones and gifted child management. Because of the syllabus, you will get the assessment tools for the age groups. 0 to 5 months, 5 months to 12 months, 1 year to 3 years, 3 years to 5 years. These are the assessment tools to do the diagnosis. Then there are parent education materials which you will give to your clients. And these are our internal copyright material you are allowed to use for your clients, both the things. So make sure you go for that. Not only for the certificate, but also for the content of that. Okay, the tools which you will get, assessment tools plus parental education tools. Now it is time for questions. Please ask questions related to today's topic. Anything, something is there like that you should ask to me individually, which will not help the group. You should ask on WhatsApp to me. Today you can write the WhatsApp. I will reply 2 days after. And my WhatsApp time is till 5 p.m. So there are people who see they are awake till late, and when they see the status, and every status they are looking, and by 11:30 when they reach my status, they will suddenly remember that, oh, I have to ask some question. So avoid that thing. So respect the timings. Fellowship as of, yes, for August exam people, this book only you will read. Meena, August plus Feb exam. August is child exam and Feb is fellowship exam. Correct, correct. Dr. Avni, correct. Yeah, that question, Soumya, you should ask to your mentor. You must have some plans now. What do you want to do with this, right? With learning. So this is a 6 months program. You are not doing graduate. You are not doing postgraduate. Okay. Correct, Shrija. Counseling. All the we have two exam windows only. August exam and February exam. Correct. So Shrija, you are for August exam batch. Fellowship people, we meet every Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I think Priya is missing that.